Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Midwest Whitetail After Hours podcast presented to you by Hoyt Archery. Today is October the 3rd, and I am joined by Max, Grant, Mike, Jared, and Owen. You guys are 3 days deep into the season. I'm 3 weeks deep into the season. I'm assuming everyone got out tonight. How did it go? Don't all go first.
Yeah, everyone except for Owen. Owen hasn't been in a tree yet.
Owen did not hunt. Yeah. Started off, Max and Grant. How'd you guys do?
Oh God!
You know what that is? That's a big, the big. I mean, I told you I thought we would have to call Jared to bring a trailer. We were gonna stack up so many does. We got brand new permission. We were 1 for 1 on door knocking this afternoon. The coolest little 10-acre track in town. I mean, it's unreal. The deer sign in there is like 5 million beds, and the lady was like, "Oh, I saw some deer in the yard this morning." We were like tagged out already before we got there and didn't see a lick.
No deer.
Not
No
eight.
deer.
Oh,
Repeat of last year's Doe Fest.
God.
Nice
you
work,
were
guys.
you were not the one to kick this off with.
No.
Yeah,
Well, we
right.
got ours out of the way. We'll catch you guys next episode.
Well, who had a good night?
I
Good
had
night.
a pretty decent night. Jared, go. Why don't you go?
Yeah, we'll save yours. Yours sounds better than ours. We saw deer. We did not have anything in bow range. We hunted we had a spot. It's actually on the perimeter of Mike and I's river farm, and then the new piece that Mike bought. Just a very low impact hunt. Just was really just going to get in a tree, 1, and 2, hopefully shoot a doe. And then Mike, I forgot how miserable that tree is early season.
Yeah.
All the cover. I mean, it's like it's a like probably a 10 or 12 trunk maple tree, and all big trunks too. And so there's so much cover around you, and you're like peeking out little holes trying to see. So we saw some deer off in the distance, had some coming. They kind of cut in the woods. So pretty uneventful night, but it felt good to be in a tree for sure.
Were they hitting that cut corn, or were they in our little clover, or trying to come to the clover? Could you tell?
So the farmer was picking corn. Originally was starting on our side. He was probably 600 yards away, and then went on the other side of the road. So it's still standing corn right there up close to where we were hunting.
Yeah.
There was a couple of deer that kind of came in and out way back on your piece. And then the only deer we had close, there's 2 does on the spike. They were coming down the lane from the north, and right before they got into the little clearing we were hunting, they cut into the woods, which I thought they'd cut out towards the corn, but they cut in the woods and never saw them again. So
Yeah. Yeah, I hunted there once last year for Doe Fest, and it was like shooting through little holes because I didn't have a saw long enough to cut. I was like, oh, we need to get back in here and cut some lanes.
Yeah.
So you get about a 1 second opportunity to have the camera and the shooter on the deer. But, a lot of times you can see a lot of deer right there. So it's kind of a cool spot once that corn comes out. But I saw this morning that a lot of it was still in there. So anyway, I actually went out last night and hunted the edge of a little turnip plot, and then it was slow. It was hot. This morning I went out and hunted a little oak flat and shot a doe and had movement the first 30 minutes. And then tonight I wanted to try something different. I went to standing beans that they're not green anymore, but I've got a turnip plot around the corner. I've got some white oaks on the edge. And so it was sat a redneck blind that actually we had all our success in last year, late season. It hunts well for archery, big bedding area, and sort of a little peninsula of beans goes up there, and I've got plot screen, whatnot. And we actually didn't have anything coming to bow range. I mean, I was a little bit surprised. I was hoping that, this 88 to 80 to 75 and the pressure's trying to rise starting right about now, that we might have a little better activity. But first deer came out at 6:05, and we had 3 small bucks in front of us, and we ended up having 3 small bucks behind us. And 1 doe. So we had the 3 bucks came out in front of us. They went into the turnips, and the 3
I don't know if that's us or is that Mike out?
Oh, there he's back.
He's back.
We lost you there
Was
for a
I-
second, Mike.
Oh, where should I jump back
You
in?
said the first $3 went to turnips.
Look, my computer is telling me that my internet connection is unstable. How about that? Yeah, so the $3 went to the turnips almost right away, and then $3 feeding in the beans all the last hour, and then the doe was under a white oak tree and never left. And so sort of interesting to see, but nothing came close. Right after legal shooting, we had 3 good bucks come out, and I actually got some, or I say good bucks, they were like 3-year-olds, and nice frames on them outside the ears. I could just barely see with the binos that they had decent racks on them, but it was, like 720, working scrapes, working the edge there. And it was cool to see that, but this warmer temps, it's we just need a little bit cooler, I think, to get them up on their feet. And then I get back to the truck and I get pictures of Chubbs at 7:30 down on the creek working a scrape. So, it was, 15 minutes after legal shooting, but he was on his feet. And I think he's bedded down on the creek in this warmer temps. It's kind of cool down there. I'm glad I didn't go to the cherry tree. I decided to stay back, and I'm going to wait for the next cold front. But he's at least close by, and it was cool to get his picture shortly after legal shooting.
Awesome.
It's good to know he's there.
Yeah.
Jason, how'd you do tonight?
I think I had a great night. I think I saw probably somewhere north of a dozen deer. It was really it was my first sit in this place. I just put up a ground blind there on Tuesday, and it's at the end of a it's in I think maybe there's 3 or 4 rows of jack pines, so the blind fits in there well, and it's at the end of a cornfield that we have fenced, and there's a small plot at the end of it of just winter wheat that I threw in and some forage brassicas, and right away at about 5:15, the deer started to literally run off of the hill. And you could tell that ground blind hadn't really been there long enough, because they all, pulled up, at 25 yards and gave you the stare down for 5 minutes. And fortunately, I was able to, I thought my cameraman was going to get busted once just because he was pointing out the window, or not out the window, but close to out the window. Yeah, we just kind of had a really good constant stream of deer. And then, as I said, I had a cameraman who, I guess I didn't say that he's very inexperienced, but he didn't know to watch the battery. And he said, "Hey, great buck coming down the hill." And I'm like, "Great." And I look over at his viewfinder just to make sure that he's got it in manual and all that stuff. And it says 1 minute on the battery. And I'm like, "Oh!" So I'm digging for a battery, and I'm trying to tell him how to get a battery on, because I know we've got a little bit of time, and he was fumbling with it, and finally I just grabbed it and got it on there and got it in, and the deer did not come the same path that 99% of the other ones did. It came about probably 40 yards farther to the west, and I never saw it cross the 2-track, but once I got that battery on, I started looking with my binoculars, and I saw it was one of the good bucks that we've got. I really can't tell you whether it was a 3, 4, 5, or 10-year-old. It probably was a booner, but nonetheless, it was a good deer. So we saw a couple bucks and a whole bunch of does and fawns, and could have shot every doe and fawn that came by, but it was raining pretty good, so I didn't want to mess with it tonight.
Were you hunting the Unabomber buck, your top buck, or I assume one of your top bucks?
Yeah, I mean that's his core. Although it's I sent you that 10-pointer that I call him GQ, because he's got a perfect frame, and it could have been him. Although I really feel like it was a little bit smaller 8-pointer than either of the deer that I just mentioned. But I don't know. It just happened so quick, and he disappeared into that corn, because we left about probably 75 yards of it unfenced. It's a 7-acre plot, I think, and we could only fence so much of it, so we left part of it, unfenced, and they've hammered the living daylights out of it. But they can still disappear pretty good in there. But
Yeah.
I don't think I told you, Jared, but the Unabomber has been shot at.
Really?
Yeah, not by me. So it's a person that I share the lead. It's his dad's land. And
Okay.
we knew it was a good spot. We knew that he was coming to this water hole, and I've got a redneck bail blind there. And I don't know, he probably was sitting in there 45 minutes before he shot, and unfortunately missed. I've got him on trail camera since then, but he's educated nonetheless.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
He seems like he's old enough that he's gonna make a few mistakes. It seems like when they get 6, 7 years old, they seem to make a few more mistakes than they do at 5. At least that's my opinion. He seems to be keeping relatively visual, so
Pretty comfortable in there. Yeah.
yeah, we stay out of there pretty well.
That sounds like a fun night, though. Oh, and you didn't go out. What? Just still too busy, or you just like tomorrow's conditions better?
Well, I don't think I like any of them really. I mean, as far as the
Yeah.
Right.
hunt goes, I mean, if you look up October lull in the dictionary, it says see first week of October 2021. That's kind of how
Yeah.
I'm feeling right now.
Yeah.
I went and checked about 20 cards yesterday, and I didn't have, other than one plot, I had a little bit of daylight activity on as far as mature bucks. All of my mature bucks was from like 8 o'clock at night until 4 in the morning. And not one of the hit list bucks was in daylight. And I had, like I said, the one plot had 2 or 3 nice bucks, probably 4-year-olds, nice looking deer, but nothing that's on the list. So I'm not real excited to get going just yet. I'm like, no sense getting in a big hurry. There's better hunting to come for sure.
Yeah. My cameras have been very, very similar to that. It's just more about, for me, just getting out, killing some does, just staying out of the
Right.
good areas. But yeah, I'm seeing the exact same thing on camera.
Yeah, I would say the mature
Yeah.
bucks are still back in the timber on acorns for the most part, it seems like.
Mm-hmm. Ours are pretty slow
Yeah.
too.
I hear you guys
I-
often talk about shooting does early. Do all of you do that? And if all of you do that, are you not concerned about messing up an area?
Well, I like to shoot those early for a couple of reasons. One, we usually process a couple for my wife and I family, and for us to eat. And the lockers are just, I mean, it's a good time to process a deer, get back quick and get your own deer and all that good stuff. But I usually focus on the areas that aren't close to any of the better spots anyway. So I'm not really worried about messing it up. I have plenty of other spots where I can go shoot a doe, easy in, easy out, or even just different properties altogether. So yeah, I don't get too aggressive with going and shooting does in some of the better spots.
How about the rest of you?
I'd probably be more like Jared in that sense. If I've got like some problem does, especially, that's what I try to key in now. Some of those are just the real snotty ones that always pester you. I'll try to go in early when they're uneducated to my presence, maybe try and pick 1 or 2 of those off. But I do the buck my doe harvester and shotgun just because, numbers wise, you can take them out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like to take at least a few out if I can. I mean, one, kind of knock the dust off the bow. And, usually it's good to get the, the kinks worked out as far as filming, and so with whatever guy I'm working with that year, as far as like your experience tonight, we learn a lot these first few hunts and doe kills. And so it's good to sort of practice kills, I think, on camera. And I try to hunt the periphery. I'm not too worried about messing stuff up. I mean, but I don't dive into the best areas to go shoot does, obviously.
Cool. Anybody got anything else they want to add?
No, there still seem to be new ones showing up. Grant and I had one show up two nights ago. The last picture was June 25th, and he showed up and was on every single camera. So they're little by little, they're showing up. I was so glad to see him back too. A really nice deer that just was MIA. I don't know what happened. We had him May and June and then vanished.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think greens and acorns are probably the best places to be right now. And same thing Owen said. I've been getting all my mature bucks, like it seems like right at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when the temperature is coolest. But this little change, I mean, you see Chubbs on his feet at 7:30 p.m. So it gets me excited for that next cold front. And it looks like it might be October 14th or 15th or something like that, where we might get a real good dip. We're going to hold this pattern for like a high of 74 for the next 3 or 4 days. So I think it might be an opportunity to maybe catch up with a few does as opposed to hunting in these 80-degree temps. And unfortunately for us, next weekend for Doe Fest, it's looking like it's going to be pretty warm. But
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, next weekend is youth season here, so it's it'll be kind of wild out there, I'm sure. It's about like opening day of rifle season, just a month and a few weeks early.
Yeah. You taking anybody out?
I am not. I've got a couple different real estate open houses that I've got to do, and I set those up sort of by design because I knew that I wouldn't likely be taking anybody out. But there will be a couple of youth hunters out on our farms.
Cool.
Yeah. Yep. Should be a good time for them to be out. But yeah, like Mike said, it doesn't look like anything substantial in the way of weather for quite some time, really.
Yeah.
Are you guys, someone mentioned it earlier, are you guys still seeing that shift taking place? I feel like for me, it's kind of stopped. I'm starting to see regular activity from the same bucks in the same areas rather than none or, different bucks. Are you still seeing them shifting or?
Yeah, I mean, Max and Grant mentioned they have the one move back in, and Owen mentioned last time that he doesn't really see a lot of that just in his area. But Mike and I did have Dak show up the other day for the first time. I can't remember what the date was, but it was our very first picture this entire year of that deer. He was one of our top bucks last year, one we were really looking forward to seeing, and we got one single picture of him in the middle of the farm. So he just moved back in. It's not a great picture. It's hard to tell what he did from last year, if he stayed the same or got a little smaller. It's just hard to tell, but his body's, I mean, he's a big old body deer, and it's good to at least see him back and know that he's alive.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that is exciting. I was excited to see that. And that probably is his worst angle, that sort of side view from the right. I mean, when you look at
Yeah.
I can find a picture from last year. The same thing. It was like, is that deer? How big is he? So I'm hoping that next time we get him a good series of him looking at the camera, he's at least, somewhere close to where he was last year. But either way, cool mature deer and lots of history, and I'm excited to see show back up. I've had new bucks. That little farm I hunted yesterday. I mean, we had a deer walk under us that looked like a 3 or 4 year old that I did not have pictures of. And then, I've been having new bucks popping up on camera. It seems like every few nights. So I'm still hoping that this trend continues over the next week or two. I mean, we're a little further south than you, so I think that might carry on a little longer. And there's still a lot of bucks missing. I mean, I had the 6x5 on my home farm, Tex. There was another nice big 4-year-old last year, big 4-year-old 8 with some kickers. And normally I've had all their pictures by now, and it seems pretty unlikely that they all died. I had all their photographs after the end of season and found sheds to most of them. So it seems unlikely they're all winter kills. So I'm hoping that as the crops come out in here in the next 2 weeks, we start getting photos of them, kind of like we just got a Dak.
I've got a couple of new ones in the last week. Ones that I was looking for from last year, not new bucks to me, but ones that I hadn't seen yet this year. I think more what I see on my farm is more of a mini shift. When you get into the early to mid-September, they go missing off the cams, and they kind of shift from they've been living out in a little draw or the wide open all summer, and they kind of start moving back toward cover. So I do see them move a little bit, but just not that far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything Midwest whitetail related that any of you want to mention that's coming up? No one
I
shot
don't
a
think
booner this
so.
weekend, so that's
No.
probably not going to be on a show.
No, we have Mike's daughter Bella's hunt tomorrow. Will probably about the same time as this podcast. So that'll be a really cool hunt, really cool youth hunt. That came together really well. So that'll be a fun one to share this week. And basically from here on out, a lot of it just is dictated by the hunting action. We'll have a lot of guys in the field, and despite not having any significant weather changes coming up, I imagine someone will have some encounters within the next few days or week that we can share. And everything's pretty much dictated on action from here on out.
Right on. Anybody got anything else before we break away for the night and probably for the next couple of days at least?
Yeah, just a daily channel. Like my hunt yesterday, that nice, it was a 3 or 4-year-old 9. We made a little blog out of that, little quick 4-minute blog that popped up on the daily channel this morning. And Rye's going to work on a blog for today. And so any of these hunts we're going out and doing and having at least decent action, we'll make some blogs out of them. And it's a good spot for people to check out some of what we're seeing.
Good luck, Owen. I'm excited for you to get out there.
Thanks, and same to you guys.
Knock the rust off that Hoyt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did today, boy. I was shot a 300 round, which is 60 shots on a 5 spot.
Yeah.
There you go.
I shot a 299, so I wasn't disappointed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
I'm
it.
stacking them in there. We'll do a little shooting tomorrow on the
Yeah.
blog, so we'll bring you something with the Hoyt.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Perfect.
There you go. Well, Grant and Max, I hope you can get a doe in front of you, boys.
You wouldn't think it should be this hard. The best state, arguably, in the U.S., and I can't find a fawn even. All right, I'm not giving up just yet.
All right, don't give up. Anybody got anything else before we go?
All good.
All right, guys, have a good night.
Yeah. Good night, guys.
Good night.
See you in
Thanks,
the next
guys.
one.
See ya.